do it.
Welcome back to the Pittsburgh Sports Saviors. It is July 10th, 7:23 p.m. Lee, how have you been? How you doing?
Been all right? Doing all right. How you doing, bud?
Good. So I don't know how I ended up on this topic, but I saw some clips of Deion, and I figured today we can talk a little bit about the salary cap systems in each league.
Okay.
I use my good friend, our unpaid intern, ChatGPT, GPT, to help give us some info. But the main thing that got me on this topic was actually Deion Sanders. So
Okay.
here's a clip from Deion at Big 12's Media Day.
All right.
I wish it was a cap. Like the top of the line player makes this. And if you're not that type of guy, you're not going to make that. That's what the NFL does. So the problem is you got a guy that's not that darn good, but he could go to another school and they give him $500,000. And you can't compete with that. That don't make sense. All you have to do is look at the playoffs and see what those teams spent. And you understand darn near why they're in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of hard to compete with somebody who's giving $25-30 million to a darn freshman class.
So that clip was on First Take, obviously, but I think that where we are with college football right now is a good example of where you had a situation where money wasn't relatively important to now money is like a key part of what's going to go on, what's going to happen with these rosters, who's going to be able to succeed long term and everything like that, and I think it plays into what we didn't experience when teams started to teams and leagues, I should say, started to have salary caps in them. And right now there's salary cap system, a complete salary cap system in the NFL, similar systems in the NHL, in the NBA, and pretty much no system at the moment in the MLB. So I figured we could talk about their systems now. And then before we do that, though, what are your thoughts on what Deion had to say there about the system that's in place and whether or not there should be systems put in place in college football?
Well, if they're going to start paying them, then maybe there should be a system.
Mm-hmm.
I get the whole NIL thing, and I get that a lot of these guys are very talented, but I almost am still on the fence with the whole NIL thing with paying the college players, only because they're still in school. I mean, I get that they're out there, of course they're putting their bodies on the line as well with doing things, but it's not their professional career. I mean, they are still going to school where if their football career doesn't work out for them, they can still graduate with a degree and go on and be successful in anything else. But I mean, I think I kind of agree with what he was saying. Like, if you're going to have the best players, just like how the NFL is, usually, the top guys usually get the top dollars.
Mm-hmm.
But then, like he said, like, if somebody's not that good, they could go to a different team and be the best player on that team and then make top dollar, which,
yeah,
I guess that's what it is. But I think if they are going to do something, if they're going to start paying these college kids, I think they should have a salary cap system put into play for them.
Yeah. So when NIL was only a concept, I think a lot of people were seeing it as like, hey, these guys can go out and get it's name, image, likeness.
Mm-hmm.
The idea was like, hey, if this guy Reggie Bush could go out and get endorsements and he can go and do commercials everywhere, why shouldn't he be allowed to do that? Why shouldn't he get paid for doing that? And I think everyone would be in agreement that that's a fine thing, whether or not they're in college or not. If your name, your image, your likeness can get you money on that alone, I think there should be no reason that those guys can't get paid. But what's happened is this monster has been built from it, where you have these collectives that each school has, where the schools aren't actually paying them, but in reality, they're controlling the collectives. They're the donors who would previously donate to the school are now donating to those collectives. So it is becoming way different than what it should have been when it was put in place. I think the idea of like, hey, if these guys are going to be in a video game, they should get paid for being in a video game. Stuff like that was something that everyone agreed with. Now, though, it's guys who wouldn't, their value to the market isn't that high. Like they couldn't go and get endorsement deals done, but they're making 500,000 because this school makes millions and 1000000s. And I don't think there's if you're on the side of like they should get paid whatever they're worth, then there isn't really a problem with that. But it comes down to whether that's going to affect the balance of college football, where a team like Colorado, as much as Deion tries his best, he talks a little bit later in that video, I think, about how some coaches are going to be able to overcome that. You get the right guys and everything in place. You might be able to go on a run without a big NIL collective. But in the long term, even if you do that, you got to worry about the next season. If those guys are sophomores and can't go to the draft, that someone's going to come in and pluck them away. Even if you are able to build a champion from that. With Pitt, my hope of a national championship is completely gone, I think, at this point. I just don't see in the current system how they're going to be able to do it. They've had a couple guys that have been All-Americans. They've had a couple guys that were Heisman finalists in the past couple decades, Kenny Pickett, Larry Fitzgerald sometimes, but they're never going to be able to build up a roster similar to the elite teams. So the idea there is like a level of like you just feel as though there's never going to be another chance to win a title.
Yeah,
like Colorado, who has a fan base that is pretty active, who has a named coach who can get you thought would be able to get recruits, but currently he only has like 5 commitments to the next recruiting class, and that's like way behind a lot of other schools. There might be other reasons for that, but I just spent a lot of time talking there. But that's how I feel right now. Where the system has become a monster that I don't think anyone's going to be able to control unless there is something put in place. The question is, what do you put in place?
Yeah, that is a tough one. It is what is do you put in place? Do you go back to where okay, they're in college, they don't get paid, or do you go off of, like you said, how the NIL is supposed to be, just off of the name? Are you paying them based off of the likeness, their name, their image, things like that, how they portray themselves on and off the field as a good ball player and maybe a big contributor to the community and things like that? Or do you set up a salary cap for them based off of the school or the player and how big they are, pay them by just the video game, things like that. So yeah, I get it. It's going to be tough to try to figure out what exactly will be the correct system for these guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you can't go back to no pay. That's a definite.
Yeah.
But here's the current setup. So I used ChatGPT to help me out on this. So if they messed up, it's on them. But here's the current systems in each of the major sports at the moment here. We'll start off with the NFL. Right now, the NFL has a hard cap in place. At this moment, according to the research I did, it's at $255.4 million. With this situation, teams can exceed that number under any circumstances, and it includes bonuses and restructuring options. You also have things like the franchise and tradition tags, and then different rules relating to dead caps and when you make a trade or when you make a cut. And then there's a scale in place related to rookies. So this one is like the most pure cap system for sure that's put in place. And it's something that I think if college football were to go this extreme, it would be very tough to handle and everything like that. But what are your thoughts on the NFL's cap and how it's in place right now?
Now that's per team, right? The 255.4, that's per team. I mean, hey, if that's what I'm guessing that's like what the average each team makes, I'm guessing, a year. So
so the money gets broken down between the owners and the players, the NFLPA. I don't know the exact distribution right now, but I could look into that. Probably.
I mean, I think
that isn't really what I want to focus on. I want to focus just on the system a bit.
Yeah, no. Well, I was just trying to get some info, but I think that's a pretty standard, decent system. I mean, you have this is the amount of money you get for your team, and then you got to break it down based off of the player. How well they perform, how well they did last season, the type of name they are, how you know they're going to perform when they're out there for the next season. I think that's kind of how it should be. And then again, it includes all the other stuff that you have and going off of that. So I think it's a very good system that's in play right there.
Yeah, so I'm looking it up now. The owners get about 51.5%, and the players, that number is based off of 48.5%.
Yeah, gotcha.
I think they do spend some of that goes to like benefits and like players that are retired and stuff that they get also. But they that's how the split is in the NFL. So the next system that we can look at is the NBA system, and this one is I don't know, it's pretty unique, I guess would be the word to use. So it's a soft cap with a luxury tax, which means that there's a number that you can hit. If you get past that number, you then have to pay penalties that escalate for repeated violations, and they call it an apron right now. There's a second apron. So there's exceptions, there's exceptions, there's other things, but there is a hard. I mean, maybe there isn't a hard cap now. At one point, there was a hard cap, I thought, in the NBA, but according to this, I should have probably looked at it better. But they got a soft cap with this luxury tax in place. Is the main key here. There's mid-level exceptions, bird rights, other things that come into play that allow teams to go over their cap. And there's other things limiting max contracts for players. A lot of that's based on how much time they have in the league. Other things that you can do, like salary matching and trades. You can't have one if you're both over the cap. You can't have one team spending or giving you a guy who's making $40 a year, and you're getting a guy back who's making $3 million a year. Different like aspects there. What are your thoughts on the NBA system and anything like that?
No, I think that this works just for the NBA only because when the teams aren't as big as like a 52 man roster for the NFL. Yeah. So I think that a salary cap system like this definitely works for the NBA based off the amount of players that they do have on their team. So I think something like this definitely for sure works for them.
Mm-hmm. I do like the unique aspects of contract limits for singular players and like the way it escalates to allow for if you're on you're coming off a rookie deal, what you can make compared to a guy who's coming off his second deal versus his third deal. That's I think a good thing that's in place for there, and I think would play into college football as well if you had it where maybe freshmen can't make as much as a sophomore versus a senior.
Yeah,
I think that's something that would cut if college football does figure out something out. I think that's something that would work well to put in there also.
Yeah, for sure.
Next up is the MLB, which actually I'm gonna go to NHL first because NHL is very similar to the other two leagues. They have a hard cap with a floor. So this year the floor is $65 million with a cap of $88 million. Right now there's no luxury cap, but there's strict cap enforcement. So you can't get under that 65. You can't get over that 88. LTIR offers are limited with flexibility. You can front load a contract that can help you later on down the line to fix your cap up if you have space now and you're below that floor. You can put some money in the front that can help you out some more. And then there's also signing bonuses involved. So it plays a little bit into both of those things. No luxury tax makes it a little different from the NBA.
Yeah.
But this is a system that was put in place most recently, I'd say. I'm sure there's been changes since then because they've had a few collective bargaining since. But this really came into place right around the time that the Penguins were able to get Sidney Crosby in town and everything like that. And I before this happened, we can go do it a little bit later. I actually think that this cap system, along with getting Sidney Crosby, saved Pittsburgh hockey in a big way.
Yeah. Again, I'll just have to go along with it. I think that this system definitely works for hockey. Not saying that hockey is not a big time sport. It is for sure. But I just don't think that it's as big as some of the other organizations out there for sports. And I think that the cap that they have is set in place. I think it's perfect for what they have for their roster and especially for their players. I mean, again, there's a lot of good players. They're definitely putting their bodies on the line. It is a lot physical than some of the other sports. But I think, again, I think that this is something that works for hockey. I don't think that this would work for college, though. I just don't think that this was something that would work there.
The floor would be tough for colleges,
Yeah.
especially because there's so many schools.
Mhm.
There's so many levels of money that teams can get. Like if you're looking at like a Ball State,
Yeah.
putting the floor and how much they can put on would just be tough. I don't think this would be great either for college. Then what the biggest system, the most out there system right now, I don't know, is currently the system in place with baseball. There's no cap on the amount you can spend. There is a luxury tax system, which means if you pass this, the number here is 237 million. If you pass that, you start having to pay money. You get penalties for exceeding that number. It escalates. The top tier being $297 million. Right now, there's like I think I shouldn't say that. There's more than a couple teams that are over 300 million. I want to say it's like 4. I haven't checked recently, so there may be teams that have jumped back down under that because of the penalties that are involved in that. But there's also different things in place that kind of limit the amount of money that young guys can make. For the first 3 seasons, you pretty much make whatever. This is the first 3 seasons when you get called up to the major leagues, to be specific. You can't really say what you want to make. The team gets to pick your salary. There is a minimum number. For most players, you're going to get that minimum or just a little bit above. And then from your years 3 to 6, you're still controlled by your team, but you get to go into an arbitration system that so year by year, your number will escalate. Someone like Paul Skeens is like an outlier. He's going to get a lot of money in his 4th season.
Yeah.
But most of the time you'll end up with getting like a $2 million contract that 4th year. Then it jumps up to like the 5 to 6 million, up to like the what is that, 8-figure number or 7?
Yeah.
But this is the system in place right now. What are your thoughts on the system they got there?
Yeah, I mean, I think it works for baseball for sure. I mean, you see some of the contracts that some of these guys have. I mean, they're phenomenal players.
Mm-hmm.
I think that this is just perfect for their system. You got a lot of guys that that definitely, like you said, a Paul Skeens in their 2nd year, that you can tell that they're going to be good players, and that their yearly salary is going to increase for sure, and that they're going to be making.
Right now he's making under $1 million.
Well, yeah, I mean, but I mean, as you see, as he's going up, like you said, come his 4th year, he's going to be have a big time contract like some of these other.
No, not yet. No,
you don't think?
No, that's the way the system's in place. When you're a younger guy, you're cut off from really making like the big money. He's gonna. When I say exception for him, he's gonna be able to make 8 figures quicker than most guys would.
Okay.
Gotcha. But he's not going to get the 40 million that he deserves. He's not going to get that until after his 6th season, unless he signs an extension with the team. So the way this system works, you're really not getting paid until you're outside of the first 6 years.
Because of the arbitration system. Okay.
So
gotcha.
You're really not getting that. The other thing to note though is that with these tax thresholds, the money that you get penalized on actually goes back into a revenue sharing system that the lower level schools would get in a situation if this was to go into college football. Like a luxury tax system would kind of help out lower level teams like those I mentioned. I think a Ball State for some reason earlier.
Yeah,
teams like that would likely get money back from like the whole entire system in a situation like that. This was put in place.
Well, then maybe this might work because of the bigger schools that bring in more money. I mean, maybe this is something that could actually potentially work for sure for them, because there are like an Alabama or a Florida or Georgia, Notre Dame, things like that.
So earlier you were praising this system, and I think for the player, this is the best system by far.
Yes.
But for competitive balance reasons, a system like this, you have to be, when you're one of those lower tier teams, money-wise, you have to be on your P's and Q's. You have to be able to develop players in a way that you don't have to do it when you're on a bigger school. So
Mhm.
this system is, while there's no sharing really, and there's a little bit of sharing in college when it comes to TV deals and things like that. This system right now is most like what college football has at this moment, I think.
Gotcha.
Where
Okay.
the big boys can spend what they want to spend, like you have in baseball with the Dodgers and teams like that, where they can just spend whatever they want, and then you have lower tier teams. I don't want to put the Pirates in the conversation yet because their problems aren't just because of the
Yeah.
system.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
also
Yeah.
been bad management and things like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like
Yeah.
a team like the Tampa Bay Rays, if they were able to spend on the same level as the New York Yankees over the last 25 years with the way their management has been,
They probably could have more.
they would have,
players.
because right now they've had a lot of success. So the
Yeah.
idea that they would be on the same playing field as other teams in a system like the NHL or a system like the NFL, it would have benefit them so much, and it would go even further when it comes to like their
Mhm.
ownership's so cheap. If you have a situation like the NHL, they would have to spend a certain amount of money
Yeah.
if they put a system in place like that.
Gotcha. Well, then maybe you've changed my point of view just listening to hearing all that. I mean,
Uh-huh.
maybe this isn't a good system then. Yeah. I mean, yeah, the lower level teams, the lower tier teams, they're just not going to get what some of these
Mhm.
higher tier colleges get. So maybe this isn't a good system. Yeah.
Okay, so this is best for the players, in my
Yes.
opinion,
Yes, for sure.
for sure.
For
So,
sure. For the
but
players. Yes.
balance we
But
have to
for
do is
yeah.
the balance. The question is, well, here's a comparison chart. Really, NHL hard cap with a floor, limited exceptions. MLB no cap, luxury taxes only. So you can spend what you want, but you're going to have to pay some penalties if you do it. NBA's got the soft cap. They have luxury tax once you pass that cap, and there's exceptions there. And NFL was the hard cap system, no exceptions. So those are 4 options available for, and you don't have to pick an exact replica for
Yeah.
any of the for college football. But what are your thoughts initially? And then I'm going to pull up what ChatGPT has developed for us, and I'll ask you what you think of their system.
I mean, based off of this, I like the NFL system, but I maybe would kind of maybe mix up. I would maybe take the NFL's hard cap with, I think I want to. I think I would take a hard cap with if there's some type of luxury tax there, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
If there was a system like that, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so then you would have some kind of exceptions in the system that allows you
Yeah.
to spend. Maybe that has to do with like dead cap. Right now, there's dead cap in
Yeah.
NFL. Maybe in your situation, when you trade a guy away or you cut a guy, he goes off your cap, but you still have to pay the taxes on him.
Yeah.
Something like that is
Yeah.
what you would look at.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
Yeah. So the question is what your goals are. I don't know. So if you want the fairest system, and you want it to be about balancing the teams out and making it purely about who's the best at managing players, who's the best at convincing guys to come to their school outside of money, I think the NFL system is what you're looking at. If you want these kids to make as much money as they can, maybe you're looking at the MLB with the luxury tax there. Maybe you're looking at the NBA, which is similar.
Yeah.
Maybe you're looking to have a cap floor, which I think a lot of these places, there are like cap floors that are not technically called cap floors in the NHL and the NBA and the NFL. But there's like some limit to like how low you can go.
Yeah.
And I think for like the NFL, it's like a 20 million like dollar window. So most like the lowest teams in the cap system in the NFL are still pretty close to that cap level, even if they're not spending up to it. And it's similar for the NBA. But yeah, I think a system where if your goal is competitiveness across the board, you have to have a hard cap.
Yes.
But if you think it's all a balancing test, and I don't think that you have to make that the complete 100% goal, because there is something to the idea that like if you are a team that's a school or an owner in the pro level that's willing to spend that money, I think that you should be allowed to go above that
Yeah.
number.
Yeah.
If you're willing to do it, but maybe that tax, having that luxury tax, is what makes it work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some kind of revenue sharing in place.
Mhm.
But this is what ChatGPT came up with for
Okay.
college football, structuring a modern compensation framework for the NIL era. Because this is the proposal that I had them put together.
All right.
So this is what the goals they found. The goals of the college football cap for them is to ensure competitive balance, respect NIL rights, not salary, but school facilitated deals, discourage arm races via soft and hard caps, and comply with antitrust and Title IX laws. So the ChatGPT is on the ball, it seems like.
Yeah.
So let's see what they came up with. So they have a team-wide NIL cap that is a soft cap system at first between about 8 to 12 million, and then a hard cap ceiling of 16 million with a luxury tax for exceeding that soft cap. And this would apply only to school affiliated deals. So what they're saying is if you have these collectives that have been put in place, they have a cap. But if you go out and your agent gets you a deal with Reebok, that won't count towards the deal. Is the way I'm reading this as.
Yeah, I think that works.
That's step one. Let's see what else we got. So individual NIL limits. They're calling this optional, but their idea would be unlimited outside NIL deals. So what I just said about like Reebok, Nike, you can get whatever you can based off of what they're willing to pay you.
Yeah.
Cap on collective NIL deals. The number they picked here is 500,000, and then they also have the idea that maybe it can be tiered to say 500K for stars, 100,000 if you're a guy who's not really seeing the field, things like that, where the cap would be different. I think it would be tough to do it in this way, just because if you're doing it by who's a star, who's not.
Yeah.
Just the simple fact of who defines what that is.
Yeah.
Do it by a percentage of snaps, maybe. I guess you could try to do that, but then it's starters versus reserves, not stars versus reserves. And then so maybe you do this by freshman, sophomore, junior type levels rather than stars versus reserves. That might be a better way to do it. I don't know.
Yeah. I think you can go like senior higher, and then junior, sophomore, freshman. Yeah, I maybe that would work for sure. That way, it's kind of like even across the board. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So then rollover transparency and enforcement. So the unused cap space would roll over. They're saying up to 25%. If you don't hit that cap 1 year, you can move it to the next season. Mandatory contract disclosures. That's an interesting thing where I guess they would have any NIL deal that's about between a party and the player would have to be available and disclosed whenever there's an audit by the NCAA, or a third-party clearinghouse.
Yeah.
And, preventing backdoor deals with boosters. So that's where like something, even if you have outside deals, you have to make sure those aren't being used by alumni of schools and things like that. Trying to get away from the system that's in place here. So like Phil Knight is the owner of Nike and all that. And he's a big Oregon Ducks fan. So we don't want a system where he just does a ton of deals with Oregon players, even guys that really won't give any value to the team. That's something that will be interesting to see for sure.
Yeah.
But what are your thoughts on these little things they're putting in place to stop the fraud, I guess?
I like it because I think of like the unused cap for sure. If like you don't spend enough and then next year there's a bigger recruiting class, you have that extra money to possibly bring in like a bigger star.
You might have a season where you have a ton of seniors. So you're going to spend a lot of money that year, and the next year you have a freshman class that's going up. So I like the rollover idea for sure.
I like that. Yeah, and I think this whole thing works. I think it's good.
So the transfer portal is another issue. I think what they did here was kind of play a little bit into the dead cap and other issues here. So incoming transfers count against the cap for the new team. Departing players, you get cap relief after one term. So if someone leaves in September, you won't get that relief until the next season.
Yeah,
Is the way it will play out. And then the idea of a recruiting class cap of $3 million for freshman NIL deals. So whenever you have got players come in, usually classes are like 20 to 25, 30 players.
Yeah.
For the most part. So that they're splitting that up by 3 million. I don't know exactly where they got that number from. But if you did a situation like that, you're looking at like a little bit over 100,000 to 150,000 per player is the way that would work out.
Yeah, I don't think that's too bad of a deal for sure.
And then let's see what else. Here's an example of putting everything together there.
Yeah.
The team NIL cap could be 10 million with a hard cap of 16. Any single player could only get 500,000 max. Recruiting budget for the year would be 3 million. A cap floor of 2 million minimum to spend. So that's where it gets to play. And I think that only can come into play if we're talking about a luxury cap system where these lower tier teams are getting 2 million to spend.
Yeah,
is the only way I think you can put that cap floor in, because if you're a low level team and you don't have that 2 million to spend, it could get rough for some of them. But that's why the idea of the redistribution of the money to the smaller programs would work, and hopefully get to hit that $2 million mark.
Yeah, I think it's a great little system that they came up with, and they literally almost picked like a little bit of each of the different leagues and kind of incorporate it. Yeah, so I think something like that would work if they did implement something like this for college players for sure.
Yeah, and of course, this numbers could rise and go. But overall, I do actually like the system.
I do like
built.
it. Yeah.
I think that they figured out some things that it seemed to address a lot of the things that people would worry about. Obviously there's complications that can come about, and it wouldn't be a perfect system.
Yeah.
The question is who's running this, because the NCAA has been pretty bad overall on all these things. It seems like they let it turn into the Wild Wild West, really. And allowing the NIL to happen at the same time they allow transfers to go into play, it just created a lot of chaos in college football.
Yeah,
and a system like this could probably fix it. But we'll see how it goes and where it goes from here.
Sounds good.
So this is the Pittsburgh Sports Savior. So let's tie this talk back into the Steelers and the Pirates and the Penguins. I did one more with our intern. How salary cap systems affects Pittsburgh sports franchises. For purposes of this, I should tell you that I did kind of I probably created some bias within the ChatGPT because of my Pirate fandom. So let me get the exact question I had written, because I don't want to pretend that I'm fucking a genuine nice person. So I said, explain how the cap systems affected the 3 Pittsburgh sports franchises. Give details about how the NHL system helped revive the Penguins franchise, and how the MLB system has hurt the Pirates, and what the Steelers would like in either of the how the Steelers would fare in either of the systems in place at the other sports. Be fair but honest is how I put it out there to it. So this is what they had to say on all these little things. First, they hit the Steelers system. NFL hard cap ensures parity, benefits mid-market teams. Steelers excel through drafting, development, and cap discipline. Avoids being outspent by teams that like Dallas and LA. If there was no hard cap, those two teams or those two cities and teams could create mega rosters that you see with the Dodgers, teams like that. If they were in the MLB system, they would be disadvantaged by the MLB's free spending. If they were in the NHL cap system, they would be fine, but with more rigid rules in the NFL systems. So with the Penguins, they said the pre-cap era, they lost stars, went bankrupt, and had low attendance. Post-cap, they were able to draft and retain Crosby, Malkin, Letang. The cap prevents rich teams from poaching. It enabled 3 Stanley Cups, 2009, 2016, 2017. And the NHL cap system helped save and revive the franchise. That's just ChatGPT sucking up to the author and the way I asked that question.
Yeah.
And then finally for the Pirates, small market teams unable to retain their stars, so like McCutcheon and Cole during their one good stretch in the last 30 years. No cap equals big market dominance, inconsistent parity. Revenue sharing exists, but no spending floor. Pirates ownership criticized for low payrolls. So cap floor or true spending rules would benefit the Pirates because it wouldn't allow an owner like Bob Nutting to take advantage of everything.
Yeah.
And then which one would the Steelers prefer? The NFL system suits the Steelers' long-term approach. Would oppose the MLB system. NHL system unworkable but more rigid. Current hard cap structure aligns with the team's philosophies.
Yeah.
So, what are your thoughts? Would the Steelers survive an MLB system?
Oh, I don't think so. No,
Uh-huh.
I don't think so. I mean, some of these. I mean, the Steelers are a franchise that has been around for a long time, and a lot of people want to play for the Steelers, and a lot of people love Mike Tomlin, but I don't think that like bigger teams where you have owners that are a lot more richer than the Rooneys, where they could probably bring in more bigger players than some of these other teams or some of these other owners can pay more money to some of these players. I just don't foresee it happening. I mean, the Steelers really haven't had. I don't really know of any huge contracts they've ever really given out. I mean, some of these. I mean, and I get that we're just now getting into, as the years have gone on now, some of these players getting, $50 million a year contract, $60 million. I get that, but I just don't know when the Steelers will ever be in that type of conversation with some of these other teams. So I don't think that would work at all.
So especially if we're going back to like the mid aughts, as they say, the 2000s and things like that, they were so good at developing. I think they could be like the Cardinals are in base, the St. Louis Cardinals, not the Arizona Cardinals. They could be like the St. Louis Cardinals are in baseball, where they're competitive. They were competitive year in and year out, won a couple championships still, but went to some. But there's if we're going off of how they've developed the last few years, you could see them falling into a hole where they would have a tough time getting out. It would never get as bad as the management of the Pirates, in my view.
Yeah.
There could be a scenario where they instead of being like the Cardinals, they're like a lower level tier than that. Like I don't know, there's not a great example that I can get right off the top of my head.
Maybe like the Orioles or
yeah, the Orioles make sense, somewhere like that. But the Orioles actually, they're doing better the last decade or so. But honestly, even then, they've had struggles in and out the last decade or two.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of teams that you can compare what the Steelers would be. I think they'd be better than what the Pirates are doing for sure. They have more success than them. But and the name recognition of the Steelers is enough that if this was put in place right now, I think that they can be like a Cardinals versus what the Pirates are.
Yeah.
But if it was if there was no cap put in place in originally, the Steelers and the Pirates in the 70s, they're both considered like top tier dynasties, I guess you can go. I don't know if dynasties is tougher for the Pirates in that situation. But do the Steelers fall off the way the Pirates did if this gets put in place? Especially with the 80s for the Steelers was not a great time.
Mm-hmm.
So would they have fallen off if the system wasn't put in place?
I mean, it's a possibility. You just never know. I mean, it could have definitely fallen off for sure.
Mm-hmm. So here's a summary. They said the Steelers benefited from the hard cap and parity. Penguins were revived by the cap after their pre-2005 struggles, and the Pirates are hurt by the lack of cap and lack of spending requirements. That's a good key point there too, because if a system's put in place, the Pirates have to spend to those spending requirements. And they say that the cap systems in place help to shape the franchise's health, competitiveness, and fan engagement. I think we got into a little bit of talk there. Any final thoughts that you have related to caps, related to Deion statements, anything like that?
No, I think from where I started to where now I'm at with not only hearing you but hearing what ChatGPT had to say, I think I've kind of liked what ChatGPT has come up with, the type of program system that they kind of created. I think it would work perfectly if college football, again, like you said, it's hard to figure out who would manage something like this. Do you give it to the school? I don't even know if there's owners of the school teams. I don't know if that's how that works. Do you give it to the head person of the school to make that decision? I don't know. That's a hard decision to come up with because schools are not, professional teams. So it's different. But if they were to implement a system like this, I think it would work beneficially for the colleges for sure. And again, it'd be a little bit of mix of all the sports teams, the professional sports teams right now. I think it would work perfectly for college football today.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting subject, and what they came up with is very well thought out.
Yeah,
I think.
yeah.
I think in the end it could work, but it would take a lot up front to get it into place.
Yeah.
And I don't know, because of how big the NCAA is, it could ever be done.
Yeah.
But it would be. It's a cool concept. It's a cool idea that they put in place. On the major side there, 2026 at the end of that season, there's a collective bargaining for the baseball, and there's a lot of talk that they're going to really hit hard on the idea of putting some kind of cap system in place. If it does happen, I think it's going to be closer to the NHL and the NBA than it will be a hard cap for the NFL.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting to see. I think that's going to come, and if that happens, it'll be interesting to see what the Pirates can do there, because right now you cannot say for sure with 100% certainty that the Pirates would succeed under a system like that because of the way that they have drafted and everything like that. But the question comes, there's still that idea that the only thing that has hurt the Pirates is the lack of a cap.
Yeah.
In the NFL, it's because of ineptitude.
Yeah.
You don't have to question that idea. It's if you're bad because you haven't produced well, because everyone's on that same level playing field.
Yeah.
And I think it's time that we get to see that in the MLB.
Yeah, I agree for sure.
Yep, but that's all I got this week, Lee. I'll see you. Have a good night.
I'll see you. Have a good one.